Well, first of all, I'm sorry in advance. I like to talk a lot, so yeah, I'm going to try to condense it, so I apologize. I really didn't believe or even realize how much this trip affected me until it was actually the first morning back in Michigan. I woke up already filled with just dread when I woke up, realizing I was back to my normal life. Not that it's a bad life, but it was really a surprise to me. My dad called up the stairs and asked what I missed about the morning of Mexicali. And I was actually really surprised to find my eyes welling up and my throat kind of get taut. I was attempting to explain the beginning of our daily routine, and just to make you understand, I'm not one to cry that often. I figured out at a young age, if I was in pain, it meant that someone else wasn't. So I'd try to put other people's pain on top of me. So I wouldn't really cry for myself, if that makes sense at all. I was always blessed to see the big picture. That kind of makes sense. Anyway, I thought the feeling would pass in just a second, but it lasted more than a few minutes, and I found it increasingly difficult to breathe deeply and keep myself together, which usually wouldn't be a problem. I realized that this past week have been even more utterly amazing than I thought, and I thank God for the opportunities that He's given me to spread not just His word, but His love to these beautiful Mexican children. The first day of the site, I actually found these 3 boys who reminded me so much of these 2 kids that I babysit, and we were running around playing war or whatever, and for probably an hour, and I totally forgot I was in Mexico until one of them broke out in rapid Spanish, and I was like, oh yeah, these kids are totally different from me, yet I see them every day in America, our community. So that was amazing. Then there was this guy named Martin. Now he affected me more than was even possible. I mean, we came to serve them, but that's obviously not what happened for most of them. Martin was about, I'm guessing, 30, and we just clicked right away. He spoke pretty good English, and he treated me like a favorite daughter the entire day. He would follow me around, he'd give me extra chicken if I wanted, he'd make sure to give me extra potatoes, and it was just, it truly made me see God. The craft that we were making this day was actually wooden crosses, and he involved himself in the craft. And he comes up to me and Natalie, another girl on our trip, and he starts talking about it. This is his first cross ever. And he's going off about, almost crying, that he's always going to keep it with him. He's never going to let it out of his sight. This is his first cross, and this means so much to him. And he made us write our names on the bottom of this cross. Now, at the end of the thing, when we started leaving, saying our adios, he comes up to me and he's like, you need to pray for me and my friend Jesus every day. Every day you need to pray for us. And so he wrote his name, and Jesus wrote his name on each one of my wrists. And it did wear off, but I will never forget that. It was an amazing experience, and it was such a hard relationship to walk away with without crying. It was such a challenge. I don't put it as eloquently as he did, but he basically just wanted me to watch out for his friend Jesus, because the pastor that we were serving for, he targeted drug addicts. So he was going through a tough point in his life, and I just thought it was awesome. Martin, he wanted me to pray for him, but it was more so, pray for my friend. He needs the help more than I do. So that was just amazing. And then there were actually these 2 other kids a few days later who were way too cool to come and get involved in our crafts and in our songs. And they were actually laughing about our crafts. You can see them pointing and laughing at us. And I thought it was hilarious. But they were just kind of slouching in the shade. And then about a few minutes later, I turned around, and they're both just laying on their stomachs, so engrossed and concentrating on coloring this 3-year-old Triceratops coloring book. It was hilarious. And you could truly see God coloring the 3-year-old preschool book, Triceratops. It sounds weird, but it was truly a God moment in that site. Besides Martin, I've got to say that my team actually affected me the most. Team Hope was just awesome in general, and we were truly an improv team, which is my specialty. I just jump in. I'm never planned out. The site that the Team Hope served at was seriously a tarp strung between a shack and a pole. And just a few weeks prior, our pastor's electricity box was actually stolen. The way that they pay for electricity in Mexico is they don't pay by minute, they pay just for the meter. And someone reached over his fence and totally just grabbed the meter out of the box. So we brought it back to the entire Our Shepherd group to donate and raised enough to replace the meter in just one night, which was it was awe-inspiring. And we wanted to see the electric meter put back in place the next day. So we went back to the camp, and then we went to the electricity place. And as we were kind of expecting, of course, there were additional charges. So the price about doubled. And I was already starting to build up energy to try to have this great, try to convince the adult leaders to pay off the rest and help and then I would help reimburse them as we came back. But I didn't even get the chance to begin my convincing improv speech. They had already decided that they were going to pay all the rest out of their own pockets. Our pastor and his wife didn't have jobs that could pay for everything. It was about 1,000 pesos a month, which was a lot to them. And our team truly we gave hope back to him. His personality immediately changed. He grabbed a guitar, he started playing with the kids, he started playing soccer with us. And the people that used to know him, they said that he was just as good or even better than he used to be years ago when he actually had a church before it burnt down. Team Hope truly did bring hope to everyone. My team actually surprised and affected me most of all. God truly used them and others to transform me to the glory of God. And I felt that these people touched me way more than I ever could have done to them. But that couldn't be right. I was the one who came to serve them. Now, the pastor who ran the official Mexicali chapels, in morning and night, was awesome and totally targeted my thoughts, saying something that really stumped me for almost a week. He said that the mission work is more for God to mold the missionary than the actual people you're serving. Now, but again, the trip wasn't about you. Doesn't that contradict itself? I mean, whoa. For me, that was an entirely new concept. I couldn't even wrap my head around it. I've always tried to be a servant, putting others first, but now I'm told that I'm actually not serving for the reason I thought I was. So, what the heck? I struggled with the concept for days, but no matter how deeply I thought, I couldn't satisfy my curiosity. It's taken me all the way up to my first day back to Michigan to realize, but I guess I've finally discovered that it's something that you really must experience to understand. I'll try to explain it the best I can. God really flips roles in service. I felt like these people have changed my life more than I ever could have affected theirs. They were the servants, and God used them to shape and mold me. So if that facade wasn't too confusing for you, I hope you got my general point at least. But what I really wish and hope for is that you get to experience the feeling that I got to day in and day out in Mexicali, even though I didn't realize it at the time. So thank you.